Welcome to the Austin Method, where we help you develop the skills of square dancing. This segment is called Behind the Scenes. This is where we share things with you other than the skills we're already sharing in the Austin Method. So here's the deal. Every time, it happens every time a new class is graduated and they start joining dances, the new dancers always square up in the back of the hall, as far from the collar as they can get. Part of it's not knowing how to square up, part of it's wanting to hide in case they mess up. Part of it is they want to dance with their friends / classmates who have also just graduated. All of these are mistakes, okay? When you start going to dances, don't square up in the back. You have a harder time hearing. All the people that are unsure of themselves hide in the back. So what does that mean? That means your square is going to be just naturally a little weaker, or a lot weaker. If you're all classmates and you're hiding in the back, you're almost guaranteed to break down. And funny thing about breaking down at a dance is that it kind of blows your confidence and then you break down more. What you want to do, and I know it's difficult, but you want to break up. Break away from your friends, get up there as early as you can, and get dead center. First square right in front of the collar. Because that's where the most excited people are, that's where the people with the most confidence are, and you want to get just one, maybe two couples into that square and spread out from there. But because obviously not everybody can be in that tip, and if you get all your classmates into that square, then it's not much better than being in the back, except that the collar can keep an eye on you. So some collars are really, really good, and they can get people through calls that they're struggling with by what they call before them and walking them through, even as they dance. It's pretty amazing. But it's really important to think about where you're squaring up, who you're squaring up with, and not hide in the back. So when I say square up in the front, I've mentioned this in a previous behind the scenes, but when you square up in the front, make sure you don't square up in the corners in the front. Those two spots, basically straight out from the collar and a little forward, are audibly the worst place in the hall because sound goes out at a certain angle and speakers can only cover a certain angle, and it's never a straight line out from the speakers. So try not to get in those corners because you will have trouble hearing. When you first square up, and this is kind of important to know how to square up. If you're in group lessons, you're probably already doing this a little bit, but it's a melee. You get out on the floor and it's crazy. You got people wandering here, wandering there. You got people trying to find their friends, trying to find their wife. Just, you got to, it really is a melee. During that melee, you can go anywhere you want on the floor. You can go clear across the floor. You can stop where you are. You can pass up people that are looking for a couple. You can do almost anything during that melee. Once that melee settles down and now you have fairly set squares and you got couples or squares that are looking for one couple and squares that are looking for two couple, and you're late coming to the floor, you've missed the melee, okay? If you're late coming to the floor and the melee is over, do not pass up a square that's looking for a couple. Okay, you don't walk right by somebody that's holding up a finger saying we need a couple and head for another square that needs somebody. It's rude. And it's rude. It's just plain rude. and unkind to you. What you're telling them is, we don't want to dance with you, we want to dance with them. And it's just rude. You wouldn't want somebody doing it to you, don't do it to them. So we fill in squares when we're late to the floor. We fill in right from wherever we're entering the floor. And along those lines, what's the one thing we never, ever, 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 ever do? We never abandon a square. Once you've got a couple couples and you're looking for more couples, you don't leave that square for a better square. Now, that's not to say that if there aren't two half squares on the floor and you can't get anybody to come out and fill in, it doesn't mean one of those half squares can't go join the other half square, but you do it jointly and by agreement. But you don't just turn and walk away, that kind of thing. As far as abandoning squares, and I've seen this a couple times, very, very rare, because it's extreme. It's the worst thing you can do, is give up on a square, get mad, and abandon a square during a dance. You just don't do it. You're there, you've made a 12-minute commitment, you keep that commitment. Doesn't matter how bad it gets, and some tips, some squares can be really bad. Think of them as learning experiences if you need to. Think of them as the thing that makes the good squares and the good tips even better. Think of them as any way you want, but don't get mad and don't leave the square. It's just the worst thing you can do. So there are people that will travel from one town and their club to another club with their friends and then not mix. They've brought a square, they dance in that square. And there are people who dance as cliques within clubs. Is that really what you joined square dancing for? Did you not come to make friends? Did you not come to experience dancing with other people? I can tell you one thing, which is, if you do that, that's what you think square dancing is. You think it's dancing with just your friends. You think it's dancing in a clique. And worse, your skills become what that square does. You don't expand your skills. You don't see what other people do. You don't learn other flourishes. It's not the thing to do. You can do it if you want. And certainly, if you've traveled together and you obviously like your friends, dance one or two tips with your friends, for sure. I mean, that's what you're there for, is to spend time with your friends. But the other tips, mingle. Get out there, meet some people, do some other tips, learn some things, learn how other people do things, share what you know with other people. But try to mix it up. That's what we're in square dancing for. And that's the best of square dancing. Make sure to like and comment before you go. This is the way YouTube tells other people that you found this material engaging one way or the other. Comments are always appreciated. Likes and shares, of course, are much appreciated. And remember, however well-informed and carefully considered they may be, the opinions expressed here are solely my opinions and don't necessarily reflect the opinions of others involved in this production. Thank you for visiting the Austin Method. We hope to see you on the dance floor soon.